On today's episode of Changing Lives, we're looking at something that we've touched on multiple episodes individually, but we're combining the concepts today. And that is, are you programmed or are you conscious? Now, Tanya, before we look at this concept, I guess, together, let's define these individually.
Perfect. So programmed, I always say we are very much like computers, all right? So I'm going to try a little test with you. Okay. So if I go, how are you? What do you say?
I'm great.
Okay, so that is a programmed response. From a neuroscience perspective, the brain chooses not to accept the negative. Okay, so if I say all day long, I'm not eating chocolate, what am I going to do tonight?
Eat chocolate.
Exactly, right? How would I reframe that? I go, I'm eating healthy. What am I going to do tonight? I'm going to eat healthy. Okay, so when we put not, don't, shouldn't, can't, all of those negatives into our sentences, we're actually telling ourselves to say it. So in South Africa, if we say something like, how are you? And you go, kaniklani, I can't complain. What happens is your brain ignores the can't and the double ni, and it goes, I complain. So what are you going to do when you get home?
Complain.
Exactly. If you say, I'm fine, what are you going to be?
Fine.
Exactly. And you're not going to complain about it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're programming yourself. So we're constantly programming our minds to behave in a certain way.
Okay.
Same story with money. There are apparently 24 money blocks. Okay. And those are things like, for example, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, it actually does, because what's paper made out of and what's money made out of, right? So if we look at all of these dynamics, we actually program the way we are. So whatever you say, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever an individual says from their own personal space that they believe, they're absolutely right. So when two people are having an argument, in essence, they're both right.
Okay.
So we should never argue because the individuals are correct. It should be a conversation, not a competition. So to agree to disagree, because you don't have to agree with the other person's point of view, it's all programming. Okay? So every single individual, every single culture, every single family, every single country have a different way of operating. Okay, so there's your programmed mind.
Okay.
All right? Conscious is taking that programmed mind with the habit and all of those dynamics and putting it together with your consciousness, which is your gut feeling, and meeting yourself halfway. All right. So are you programmed or are you conscious? Would be the coffee shop, which we've spoken about in another episode, where we're saying, this is my reality based on my experiences, and I'm now questioning how programmed I am. And it could be little things like, the way we dress, the way we communicate, the words we say, what we think frequently. I've had people say things which are so unique. So what is something you often say? Is there a phrase that's your phrase? Just sort of throwing you in the deep end there a little bit.
Probably it is what it is.
It is what it is.
That is my phrase.
Okay. So that would be quite a positive one because you're going, I'm in the now moment. And this is my now moment. It is what it is. It's actually quite a solid statement to make because it's saying acceptance. Now, we're going to talk about the 8th element at some point in the series. And the 8th element is all about your vibrational frequency. So we all have a vibrational frequency in addition to our energy, our physical body, and our psychological body. Okay? Our frequency talks about that. So it is what it is acceptance. And acceptance is a nice high vibration. So fear is a 95 megahertz vibration. And acceptance, I think, lives at about 200 megahertz. And depending on your vibration, depends on your life experience. But we're going to go deeply into that in another episode. So if you want to just maybe give me a summary of your take on conscious versus programmed.
So I would say that we're all programmed in some way, but I guess we just need to be aware of how we respond to particular situations. And that, I guess, is where the consciousness comes in, right? To say, this is what I do, but let me take in other factors as well around me.
So what's so powerful about that statement is what you're busy telling me is it is what it is. I live in the now moment. And by being in the now moment, I can actually be in exactly that space you've just described, in control of my now moment so that my past is happy and my future has potential.
I love it. Thanks for that, Tanya.
It's a pleasure.
saabufa, issil